I said this the other day, but I'm going to clarify this statement just a little bit. The other day, I said that I usually don't put too much stock in regular season wins and losses in the NBA. No matter the team, you're going to have a lot of ups and a lot of downs throughout an 82 game regular season. But regular season wins and losses are different depending on what type of team that you're talking about. For example, a young and upcoming team like the New Orleans Pelicans, a regular season win over, say, the defending champion Toronto Raptors, that's a big deal for a young team. It's something that Alvin Gentry can build on, gives his young players some confidence. Regular season wins and losses to a veteran team are a bit different. LeBron James and the Lakers, let's say they beat the Raptors. It's just another win among the many that they're going to have. They lose a game to the Washington Wizards. We chalk it up to a bad game, a one-off. Maybe John Wall or Bradley Beal, maybe they got hot that night and they couldn't be stopped. Whatever the case may be, it's different for a young team compared to a veteran team. I guess I'm in the minority with this type of thinking. Tuesday night, the Twitter world was blowing up about Devin Booker's game-winning shot over Kawhi and Paul George. I wake up on Wednesday morning, turn on my satellite radio at my office, and damn near every sports show that I listen to is talking about the problems with the LA Clippers. The Clippers lack focus. The team lacks chemistry. Kawhi Leonard, he's not the same player that he was last year. Doc Rivers is allowing the inmates to run the asylum. The players are constantly leaving the bubble in Orlando. The Clippers aren't peaking at the right time. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? We're talking about a regular season loss to the Phoenix Suns. A game that meant absolutely nothing to Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers. And a game that was consequential to a young Phoenix Suns team. This was a huge game, a huge win for the Phoenix Suns. Maybe it's the lack of news the past 4 or 5 months. Maybe it's just the media being typical of being the media, blowing things out of proportion. Whatever the case may be, this reaction to the Clippers' loss to the Suns is a complete 100% overreaction, a complete exaggeration. Now, have things been less than ideal for Doc Rivers and the Clippers in Orlando since the NBA restarted? Of course they have. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys and claim things that have been great for the Clippers. There have been several instances that were negative. Lou Williams, for example. Lou Williams left the bubble to go to a strip club. Players have missed games for one reason or another. The perception is that the team lacks focus, that there's no team chemistry in that locker room. But like I said, I think a lot of this is being over-exaggerated by the media and by fans. The Lou Williams incident. People were all up in arms that he had the audacity to visit a strip club. God forbid an NBA player's in a strip club. No, that's never happened before. It was a poor decision considering the circumstances, but when we learned that Lou Williams was grieving the loss of a mentor and had just made a bad decision in an emotional state, it kind of made things a little bit different. Kind of made you wonder, who cares? Who really cares if Lou Williams went to a strip club? It's not a big deal. I'm not sure what that has to do with the perceived lack of chemistry in the locker room. I saw something on ESPN saying that there was a lack of chemistry because Kawhi Leonard got mad at Marcus Morris for putting bunny ears on him on the bench, and the cameras caught it. Really? Really? Are we in grade school again? This is what constitutes a news story in 2020? Some guy messing around and a teammate getting mad about it? Give me a break. People are also making a big deal about the Clippers being 1-2 since the NBA restarted. But once again, this is not a cause for concern. They lost by 2 points to the Lakers. Had a chance to win the game. Paul George just missed a game-winning three. Look at what happened their next game. This team that supposedly lacks focus was laser focused against Zion Williamson and the New Orleans Pelicans, who, by the way, are a tough team to beat. It was not a layup game for the Clippers. The Clippers exerted their will against New Orleans. It looked almost like they were avenging the loss to the Lakers and taking it out on a young Pelicans team. This game was essentially over by the first quarter. I was actually impressed with the Clippers and their loss to the Suns. I'm in the minority again, but I was impressed with them. The 2-point loss that everyone is making such a big deal about. The Clippers have big games against Dallas and Portland coming up next on the schedule. Now, say what you want about this theory, but athletes, especially at the professional level, they look ahead to big games. They play differently against teams that they view as a threat than they do against teams that they don't view as a threat. Teams like the Suns. Well, that doesn't make sense. The Clippers played up against New Orleans and they're on the same level as Phoenix. That is not true. That is far from the truth. There's a huge difference between the Phoenix Suns and the New Orleans Pelicans. His name is Zion Williamson. The Suns don't have any star players. Devin Booker, he might be a star one day. He's a great player, but he's not a star right now. He doesn't move the needle. No one is checking for Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns on TV. Nobody's looking for that. I don't believe in moral victories, but like I said, I was impressed with the Clippers against Phoenix. It shows that for all the garbage being spewed about this perceived lack of chemistry, this team not being motivated, that Doc Rivers can motivate this veteran team, just like he has done his entire career. The Clippers came out flat early in the game. They scored only 23 points in the first quarter. They were down 7 at halftime, down 9 points in the third quarter. Yet in a game that was essentially meaningless for the Clippers, Doc Rivers still got his guys to step up when it mattered. Kawhi Leonard went off in the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, scored 8 points. Devin Booker just made an unbelievable shot to win the game. That's all it was. That is it. I just don't understand the big deal, the overreaction. The Clippers have lost 2 games since the restart by an average of 2 points. There is no cause for concern. People are making a big deal that they could lose their number 2 seed to the Denver Nuggets. If that happens, who cares? There is no home court advantage. Dropping to the number 3 seed actually would be an advantage for the Clippers because instead of matching up with Luka Doncic and the Mavericks in the first round of the playoffs, they'll get Oklahoma City instead. Maybe the Clippers are dropping on purpose. I mean, I doubt that's the case, but OKC is definitely a better matchup than Dallas. The Clippers are going to be just fine. Once the playoffs start, this team will turn it on. It's hard for a veteran team like this to get up for what amounts to meaningless games to them. Remember the Golden State Warriors a couple of years ago? I think it was Kevin Durant's second year in Golden State. They had won the title the year before. It was the second title for the majority of that team. By January or February of that season, the Warriors were just outright bored. You could see it on the court. They were losing games against teams that they should have been blowing out. Steve Kerr was blasting them publicly for their lack of effort. People were starting to question whether the Warriors were going to have problems in the playoffs. Kind of like people are questioning the Clippers right now. Golden State was actually the number 2 seed that year going into the playoffs. It was the 2018 season, now that I think about it. What happened once the playoffs started? They dominate the Spurs and the Pelicans in the first and second round. They end up sweeping Cleveland in the NBA Finals. No trouble at all. They turned it on once the playoffs started. They turned it on when it mattered most. The real NBA Finals that season was the Western Conference Finals between the Warriors and the Rockets, one of the best playoff series in recent memory. This same narrative happened last year with Kawhi in Toronto. He's taking too much time off with load management. The Raptors have no team chemistry. Kawhi is not committed to Toronto. Yeah, how'd that end up working out? They just went out and won the title. Everyone just needs to relax with the Clippers. This is a veteran team led by a veteran head coach. Kawhi Leonard and Doc Rivers have been here before. Lou Williams, veteran. Paul George, veteran. This is a team full of veteran, experienced players. Nothing has changed. A loss to the Phoenix Suns doesn't change anything. This is still the best team in the Western Conference, the best team in the NBA, and they are still my favorite to win the NBA Finals this year. All right, that's all for today. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to get all updates from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. Is there cause for concern with Kawhi Leonard and the LA Clippers, or are they still the best team in the NBA? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions, a topic you'd like me to discuss, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys next time.